I slow my pace as I turn right at the end of Carl's driveway, practically tugging the ram along. We move the short distance down the road, then move to the edge on the left side of the road. I look down over the side onto the rocky, sagebrush covered slope. And there's Jenna. Somehow she immediately found it on her own. That old, rickety wooden platform sits under the tree. This tree and platform definitely aren't in the real echo. There were a few scant mentions of a hanging tree in my. If it was still standing, I'd have to get some film for my project. That project seems like something I was working on years ago at this point. I carefully start to climb down the slope, clinging to Carl. I'm about to call out to Jenna when I stop cold. As we move to the side, the thick trunk of the tree shifted in my field of view and revealed the noose. Unlike my dream, the noose isn't empty. Hanging from the noose is a body. From where I'm standing, I can't see exactly what it is. Its back is to us, and all I can make out is a head, hands and feet, and some old-fashioned clothes, overalls, and a cotton shirt of some kind. The clothes look worn and old, like they have been sitting out in the elements for years. I stop moving, instead staring at the body. Carl freezes, too, and I feel his ragged breathing in my ear.
Jesus.
Carl gasps. I stare for what feels like an entire minute before I find my voice. Jenna? She's also facing the body, so I can't see her face, but she's holding up a hand towards me to quiet me before slowly pacing around the platform. It looks like she's moving towards the front, so I steel myself and slowly follow her. I don't want to look at the body as I move, but I can't tear my eyes away. It's old. Very old. The fur is mostly gone, the skin underneath black and leathery. The face is drooping and sunken, the eyelids closed. It's been out in the sun for a very, very long time. I don't know much about corpses, so I don't know how long. I just know it's been a very long time. From what I can tell, it's a canine of some kind. Fox? John? For some reason, I look towards Jenna to see if she'll let us know who it is. She doesn't, instead, just staring at the body. Carl tightens his grip around my shoulders. I'm not sure if it's for support against the uneven ground or the horror in front of us. Raven has chosen not to follow. Instead, he stands back behind the platform, looking away from the body. I swallow hard, trying to keep my nerves under control, trying to look at the situation like it's a simple task. Do you guys see anything? A note or something? I try to search the platform and avoid looking up at the body.
There's something in its mouth.
Carl points up at the corpse with a shaking finger. He's right. There's a flash of white in the mouth of the corpse, just barely sticking out from what looks like gnarled teeth. A piece of paper, maybe. I'm surprised at how successful I am at keeping my voice calm. I sort of feel a little numb to all this now. But I think we both realize at the same time what this means. That we're going to have to actually get that piece of paper.
Fuck, man. Why do we have to do this? Why don't they just tell us what they want us to know?
I cling to Carl as much as he's clinging to me, trying to keep him calm. Listen, I'll get it. It's just a body.
No, it's not. Nothing's just as it is in this fucked up place.
Jenna suddenly turns on the two of us, causing both of us to flinch back from her. Chase, you need to get it.
What? Why? You can't even fucking walk.
I can crawl. He had a dream. They want him to know. They want him to be the one to get it. He volunteered anyway. That doesn't make
That doesn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Why the hell don't you get it?
Carl has adjusted himself so that he's standing halfway in front of me protectively. Because that's what they want.
That's bullshit. I should know. I'm almost a bull. You know something else, Jenna? Hey, if you know something else, Jenna, then why don't you fucking tell us?
Carl's snarling at Jenna now, which is all the more impressive because rams can't snarl. We can't be doing this right now. Here we are in this fucked up dimension in front of a mummified corpse, arguing. I put my hand against Carl's chest. Listen, I'll get it. If this is what they want, and this will help us move forward. I try not to think about actually going up the wooden steps to stand in front of the corpse, but I don't really have any other option at this point. Carl doesn't loosen his hold on me.
Fuck no, Jenna. Wait, fuck no. Jenna, you get it since you seem to know what the fuck is going on.
Carl squeezes me tighter against his chest as he leans in to glare at Jenna. Jenna glares right back, and I can see her lips trembling as she appears to be holding back her own snarl. Stop it! Carl, let go. I'm gonna get the paper.
No, Chase.
Carl, nothing bad has happened when it comes to getting those stupid pieces of paper. I'll be fine. Carl looks down at me, his face etched with stubborn resoluteness. It's at least a nice change from that almost dead look I'd seen earlier. He stares at me hard for a good... to the point where I almost blush until... finally.
Fine. But I'm coming up with you.
I don't think...
Shut up, Jenna.
Each word seems to have to work hard to get itself out of Carl's muzzle. It's okay. Let's, go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh.
Right now, I think Carl is like doing good Samwise energy.
I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you.
Oh, my ankle.
Oh no, not my ankle too.
My ankle is blue. Abadi abadoo. I let Carl hold my hand as we both moved towards the platform over uneven ground. I noticed Raven standing off to the side, still facing away from us. I'd have to check on him later. The wood creaks softly under our feet as we make our way up the steps. I focus on my hopping foot, not wanting to look at the body. Once we reach the top, though, I realize that I'm going to have to. Leaning heavily against Carl for support, I look up. The corpse's eyes are open now. Two yellow, piercing eyes that are sunk deep in the skull stare back at me.
It suddenly come bulging out, says this lady.
Dots. Dots. You are disgusting. I'm disgusting? You're abhorrent, despicable, horrible. For telling truths? For telling your own truth? You don't know my story, my truth. Your truth is a delusion. You cruel, filthy son of a bitch. What do you want from me? I want justice. I am the night.
I'm
You and your...
Batman.
I'm John.
Yeah,
Is it John?
John Wick. Maybe I'm back.
The fox just like the mummified corpse just pulls out two handguns and starts bodying people, right?
He's swinging from the noose. The tree is just running around.
You and your people don't know the meaning of the word. Just let it rest. Let me rest. And you'd leave me restless, murderer. You may not have killed me physically, but you murdered my life, you fucking... The otter hears us. So, if he hears us, then it wants him to. Why does it? You think I know? I know it. Why does it create these places? Let us do small things, then take it away. It's a game, my life, my reputation. It's a game to it. A game. Go on. Why don't you tell him your truth? The otter works with you. I wouldn't help him even if I could. But you can't, can you? You are but smoke. Good thing, too. You and your fucking lies. I will tell you this, Otter. You are stuck here because you cannot see the truth. And until you do, how will he know the truth if you only allow... You are disgusting. I'm 9 or 10, and I'm sitting under a tree in the forest. It's like... I like the feeling you get when you're finished crying. The stuffed up nose, the throbbing in my head, along with the feeling of having just run 10 miles. Like I'd just finished something really hard and now it's over. And then a creak in the branches above me. I look up and see the fox hanging from the rope. His dead eyes are on me. Dots, dots, dots. Go for it, Carl.
Why don't you get your ass up there and dig it out yourself then?
He's awake.
Chase?
A big hand is cradled below my head. I stare at the horns waving around. Between them hangs the fox.
Hey, are you okay? What happened? What happened?
I don't know. There were eyes. I stare harder at the fox, but the eyes are closed.
Yeah, me too. But you sort of just fell back. Sorry, I dropped you and I think you hit your head.
That would explain the headache. My head throbs with each heartbeat. Why didn't you grab the letter, Chase?
Are you kidding me?
I flinch at Carl's loud voice and the spit that flecks on my face.
He just passed out and that thing had something to do with it. Like I said, dig it out of the fucking mouth if you want to.
Dig what out? I crane my head painfully to look at Jenna. She stands in this exact spot, staring stoically. Raven has moved to stand next to her, but now his eyes are wide, staring at the fox. I turn my head back around towards the hanging fox, and that's when I see that the letter is gone. Where did it go? I push myself up, cringing as I once again forget about it. Carl hurriedly fusses around me, helping me stand. I keep my eyes on the fox the entire time, but I don't see any signs of life. What happened?
You fell.
No, the fox. What happened to the letter?
It fell.
He ate it. Carl was very hungry. Fuck you, bitch.
Fuck off, Jenna. John, whoever you are. I'm hungry. I'm a fatty, okay? Fuck.
What? How?
It, uh, it just sort of gobbled it up.
Carl's free hand gestures at his mouth. God. I lean my forehead against the ram's cheek as I close my eyes.
So, are we not supposed to read it?
Raven's voice is small and quiet, nothing like his usual self, even during the time we've spent here. No one says anything for a while. I clear my throat. I think I heard John and James while I was out.
What? What did they say?
I think John and James, they're influencing some of this, but there's something else controlling all of it.
How?
I don't know, but it's stopping them from telling us what they want to say. Like it's a game for it. I feel Carl shake his head against my head.
So, what are we supposed to do?
Just figure out the game, I guess. They said something about having to see the truth, but I'm not exactly sure what that is.
But the fox just ate our clue.
Get a sharpened rock or something.
Look for
We
shoots.
can get it.
Look for
We can get it
ladders.
back. Yeah, we can get it back. That might have been. That might have been one of them. James or John. I don't know.
Do we just find another one then?
I don't say anything because that's when I see the hints of white sticking out from the fox's pocket. I point. What's that?
What?
That sticking out of the chest pocket.
Huh?
Carla moves a little closer, pulling me along tentatively. Raven calls anxiously from behind us.
What are you guys doing?
Carl's voice gets tighter, more nervous as he reaches out with a shaky hand. I keep my eyes focused on the pocket, not wanting to look into those eyes if they open again. Carl touches the chest, yanking back his hand once before slowly going in again. His face turns towards mine, cringing as he tries to look and not look at the same time. He fumbles at the pocket for a moment, Fox swaying slightly from the ram's poking fingers. Finally, after what seems like several eternities, Carl manages to finally grip onto the note. Once he does and yanks his hand back, almost hitting the fox's muzzle as he slides the letter free from the pocket.
Okay, let's go.
Carl tentatively but quickly guides me down the stairs. Jenna eyes what's in Carl's hand suspiciously. What's that?
Another letter or something.
Where did you get that? The fox ate it earlier. I saw it sticking out of the pocket. I guess there was another one? Jenna goes quiet and her expression darkens. I'm about to ask her what's going on, but Carl's already unfolding the paper. swinging the hand holding it to try and make it I help him out with my own free hand and hold the letter between us. I notice at the bottom of the paper is a rough tear, like somebody's torn it in half. Jen and Raven move closer, opposite to us.
Please, please, let this be the one that gets us back.
It doesn't look like a letter. In fact, it looks like a newspaper clipping. Well, a photocopied one, anyway. Carl, I think this came from your mom's collection of artifacts. I remember some pages were ripped out of the scrapbook.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was you taking them.
Yeah, nope.
I wonder how long ago this nightmare started. It seems that it had been setting itself up for days before we fell into this place. Well, I guess I'll give it a read. Hopefully, this is the one. I start with the big bold title. Echo researcher uncovers town's serial killer past. Most might know Trisha Hendricks as the CEO of Hen's Ice Cream, but Echo locals know her to be an avid history buff as well. I just love how it connects all of us, how it shows everything has happened for a reason. But even she didn't realize what her research would uncover. According to the Hendricks town's founder, According to Hendricks, the town's founder, James had an affair with another man, and both may have been hiding a dark secret. You never know what you might find out, but to think that James had a homosexual relationship with an alleged serial killer, well, it's really something. According to Hendricks's research, James may have been in a romantic relationship with the name of John Begay. Town records indicate that Begay was accused of committing multiple child. Hendricks says the crimes were sexual in nature. I reach the bottom of the page where the rough tear begins. Clearly, there's more to the article, but
Jenna!
I look up just in time to see a flash of steel before Carl jumps back, pulling me along with him. The knife comes within inches of Carl's face before piercing into the newspaper clipping we were holding with a smack.
What the hell?
Jenna! I'm about to ask what she's doing because I think she's attacking the newspaper. But her intentions become clear as she moves towards us with the knife, eyes set on Carl.
Jenna, stop!
Raven bounces up and down, his hands pulling at his ears. Carl moves back as fast as he can while I limp along.
Jenna, what are you doing? Don't stab the newspaper.
Jenna lunges at us, the knife arcing down from above again. This time she's too close and Carl pushes me to the side as he jumps back. I go down on my butt on the rocky ground. Putrid lying beast! Where's my letter?
I don't know. Don't stab me, stab the newsletter. Stab the newsletter. What did I do?
Carl's stuttering, stumbling, eyes wide with terror. I don't even know if he's going to defend himself when it gets to him. With a muffled scream, I push myself to my feet and hobble, each step sending electric lances of pain to the back of my brain. I don't have time to dwell on it though, because that's when Jenna reaches Carl. She grabs one of his horns and yanks him close. Carl swinging his fists wildly in her direction. It's a valiant effort, but Carl's not a fighter, and aside from letting out a few grunts, Jenna isn't affected. She raises the knife just as I reach them.
No! Stop!
All right.
We should save.
We should save.
Go back. It's saving time. Boink. Boink.
If we grab her, that creates an issue where she can, like, stab us a bunch. If we push her out of the way,
Would you go flying into Carl and stab him?
I mean, I assume we're pushing her, like, to the side instead of into him.
I kind of always thought that we were like right behind her. I always assumed that we were right behind her. So if we
If
grab
we're
Jenna,
behind her, I mean, like,
well, they were spinning around. It was kind of like they're kind of circling around. But I kind of assumed that we're behind them. If we grab Jenna, like we'll be able to like grab her from behind, like hold her arms down so she can't really stab.
I mean, that's what you should do. Like, come up behind and like try to get your arms around her, so you can pull them off to the side and like clap your hands behind her head, so you can get her in some sort of position to where she can sort of just like move her arms, but that's about it. She can't really get to us.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess she could go up and back and stab at us
kind of
that
like
way.
that Dragon Ball Z thing where they just basically hold their arms up.
Yeah. And if you do it right, you don't let them rotate their arms. Their arms are just facing, are able to come down. They can only stab themselves, but they'll struggle actually stabbing you.
Yeah,
But Carl would, in theory, grab her knife hand.
Yeah.
If he can.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird.
But
He was able to fight her off earlier, but now he's just like running away from her. Like, no, don't. But it could just be the sudden shock of it all.
yeah, I mean, he also doesn't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with push just to see what happens. And we're going to shove her to the side, I assume.
Okay.
But knowing this game, we'll just shove her into him and she'll like stab him in the heart or something.
So what if we grab Jenna?
Okay, so grab Jen is the bad end. Got it. Let's do it.
Let's do
I
it.
need to pull her away from Carl. I reach out, grabbing the fox by the back of her shirt and yanking as hard as I can.
That was right.
Great
Ah.
Yeah, you just grab the back of her shirt. You're not going to try and isolate any arms.
Yeah, you're not. Wait. Yeah, you're grabbing her from behind.
Yeah, you're just going to yank her towards you so she spins around and like stabs you in the neck about 50 times.
Dumbass.
Sounds good. Jenna falls back and unexpectedly turns into me. A deep, penetrating bolt of pain goes into my chest. I gasp like I've just jumped into a pool of ice-cold water. I can't help it. It's like a reflex. And with the gas comes a violent change of light and scenery, and suddenly I'm in darkness. Not complete darkness, though, because the moon shines down on both of us. The pain in my chest gives a few deep throbs before Jenna yanks the knife out of my chest.
Chase!
Carl screams my name as I go to my knees, both hands pressed to my chest.
Chase! Chase!
I hear Carl stumbling around as Jenna turns towards the ram. I look up to Carl, trying to ask for help, tasting blood in my mouth. But Carl isn't looking at me. He's stumbling around, looking everywhere except for where I am, while at the same time trying to dodge Jenna.
Where is he?
I raise a hand, trying to show him, but it's too dark. At that moment, Raven almost tackles Jenna to the ground.
Stop it! Stop this! This is crazy! Please, just stop!
He pins her easily.
Chase!
I force myself to stand, panicking now. The throbbing in my chest is different, odd. Something deep inside of me has been hit. Help me. I stumble towards Carl, but he moves further away from me.
Chase!
He's crying now, but he can't see me. I look behind me. seeing the few lights of Echo, all of the normal buildings under the moonlight. I'm back, but I'm dying, and Carl can't see me. I need to get help. I stumble towards the hill, shakily trying to climb up the incline of rocks and dirt. My shirt's soaked, and it clings to my body like a second skin. Each pulse of my heart sends a wave of warmth over my chest and stomach. If I can just get to Carl's house, I can call someone. I get to the top of the slope. On the actual road, there's a pop in the distance. A gunshot?
Did you stab him? Raven! There's blood on the knife! Oh my god!
Carl's scream makes me want to turn back around, but if I can only get to the house, get a phone, call for help from me and my friends. But everything's getting hazy. My legs are like lead. I can't even feel my ankle anymore. My ears seem to clog up and my breathing slows down. All I can hear is my heartbeat in my ears, and my breathing, and both are getting weaker. Darkness creeps in on the edges of my vision. Something lays on the road in front of me. My legs give out as I pass it. Slumped on my knees, I look at it and see a weasel. Duke? I can't tell because most of his face is missing and there's a little plastic thing stuck in the bloody mess. I don't really care, though. Everything feels peaceful for once. Quiet and peaceful. I stared down at my chest, watching the blood pumps out of my heart out, watching the blood pumps, watching as blood pumps out with each heartbeat, staining all the way down to my knees now. The tunnel gets tighter. I sway. I fall. Into nothing. Get wrecked.
He got wrecked hard.
That's what happens when you try to grab. So, like, this is just a big thing. Um, if you ever do run into someone who has a weapon, if that's a cudgel, like hell, a stick can be a cudgel. But if it's like a bat, if it's like a piece of like a bar of metal or something, if it's a knife, if you don't know what you're doing, probably don't try to deal with them. Because a lot of people, their entire understanding of how dangerous weapons are in video games. And in video games, weapons do hit point damage. It doesn't really matter where they hit you, like they do double damage if they hit you in the head. Usually. But the whole thing is video game weapons aren't really designed to just one tap you. And you're not really too concerned about long-term damage with video games. So yeah, but in reality, like let's take D&D for an example, okay? A longsword does 1d8 damage plus strength. Okay, cool. So what that means is when you hit someone with a longsword, it's 8 damage plus your strength modifier, and that's all the damage it does. Okay? Even if someone is completely unarmored. In reality, if you slice somebody with a longsword and say they are unarmored, that longsword is going to cut their hand off or like part of their wrist off. If it hits them like midway through the lower arm, that lower arm is gone. It's on the ground now. Their brachial artery is now pumping all their blood out, and they have about 30 seconds, a minute, couple minutes to live. So they literally need to now start tourniqueting that to cut off all blood supply. Otherwise, they will die. 100%. So, yeah, like if it's a club, if someone hits you in the head, if someone hits somebody else in the head with, say, some sort of cudgel, the blow itself might not kill them, but the brain splinters that just but the brain splinters, the bone splinters that now just shot into their brain from that bone collapsing from the blow, that will cause mass hemorrhaging, that will cause mass blood, that will cause a lot of blood to pool in the brain, and that will crush part of the brain and kill it, which is most likely going to lead to that person dying. So, if you don't know what you're doing, probably just stay away from people who are using weapons, because it's kind of hard to stab into someone's chest unless you just go straight through, like, between the ribs. Like, going through the breastplate, the breastbone is actually really hard, but almost everything in the torso is important and bleeds heavily if it gets injured. And any injury to the cardiac box, which is this, go from like each nipple up to like your up to your collarbones and down to like the bottom of your breastbone, all of that is basically, if that gets damaged or pierced by anything, you have like a 95% chance of, even with perfect care. So that's why when you look at like body armor for modern day soldiers, that's where the big metal or ceramic plate is. Like, you get shot in your intestines like constantly. Like, you can get shot in your belly a bunch and survive, unless it hits that one artery that's going down your spine. But if you get shot in the chest, you're probably dead. Um, but yeah, I mean, shit's dangerous. Weapons in reality are incredibly dangerous. So, yeah, if someone whips out a knife, you want to live? Cool, run away. Get away from them. That is life and death, even if it's just one of those little, like, 1-inch long folding knives. Your carotid artery is like millimeters under your skin and your neck. If that gets cut open, even just a little bit, you're probably dead. So, stay the fuck away from people who have weapons. Unless you know what you're doing. And even then, um, like police officers and security guards, they carry those extendable batons and like tasers and guns. Yeah, if somebody whips out a knife on them, yeah, no, they're not gonna just go in hands free to try and like kindly take them down. I mean, if it's a knife, they're probably just gonna whip out their gun. They might try to tase them, but what they're not going to do is whip out that extendable baton and start beating them. Like, hell no. So yeah, stay away from weapons. Way more dangerous than you think they are, unless you've been in like the military or actually seen combat. At which point you definitely know how dangerous they are,
Yeah.
because you see people regularly get one tap. Like, just as a not a fun example, but just as an example, getting shot once and it missing a plate and actually hitting flesh, you're basically out of the fight. Even if it's getting shot in your arm, you're done. That muscle is now all bruised. The bone is kind of bruised a little bit from the shockwave of it passing through your arm. You can't really move that arm anymore. This whole thing where like people get shot and they just ignore it and keep going, that's not reality.
No, that's not reality at all.
No. Someone hits you with a baseball bat. Well, for one, even if they hit you in the arm, your arm is now broken. You're not just taking a little bit of damage and then, you keep fighting back and forth and just tank out a bunch of hits at you. Like, a mace back in medieval times was considered your anti-tank weapon, and your tanks were knights in like plate armor. And the reason for that is that cudgel force, that blunt impact goes straight through all that armor plating and breaks bone, caves in people's skulls, causes bad enough concussions and brain damage, people just pass out or die.
Causes the armor to cave into the body, which causes
Yeah,
pretty much permanent damage.
correct. So, and just to point this out, because just to give you guys enough of an understanding, in boxing, which is one of the, I guess, one of the safer forms because of how much protection we give people, because you're not allowed to kick, and kicking is way more dangerous than punching.
And apparently also
So-
boxing is one of those that you doesn't have like a, well, it has a really high skill level, but it doesn't take very much effort or time to get good enough to defend yourself. It's got a really
I mean,
high
I suppose-
ceiling. Well, I heard from someone who does martial arts that
okay.
they respect boxing, even though they do like judo. They respect boxing because there's like a high ceiling of how good you can get, but you can become a fairly good boxer pretty quick. It's not like
Yeah.
judo where you got to learn all kinds of like stuff, you know, like grapples
Yeah.
and how to twist them one and, you know, throw them and get them out and, you know, get them on the ground.
And if you're
stuff.
looking, yeah, and if you're looking at the basic rules of boxing, like there's a relatively small part of the body that you're allowed to hit. Like you're not allowed to like kick people in the knee or something like that with boxing. So that means you can really focus on that. So here's the thing. In boxing, you're not actually allowed to like hit people on the bottom of the jaw. I mean, you're allowed to uppercut them, but you're not, but when it comes to hooks, you're not allowed to hit someone at the bottom of the jaw. You're allowed to hit them on the side of the face,
Cheek.
like the cheekbone and like the side of the jaw, but not the bottom part where there's a bunch of leverage against the jaw. Because the
Knock
reason
them
for
out,
this,
wouldn't it?
no, that's not why. The reason is
Push.
this. So your mandible, your jawbone, you can actually pop it out just by yanking on it. Don't do this. You'll need to go to a doctor to get it reseated. But if you put your hands in your jaw and you pull down and forward, you will dislocate your jaw with very little effort.
Oh.
If someone wanted to and they got their hand inside of your jaw, they could rip it off of just with arm strength, like pushing against you and pulling. So never let someone get their hands in your mouth. One, unless you don't want to have a mouth anymore. And but I mean, so the reason you're not allowed to hit the bottom there is because you could potentially just dislocate someone's jaw. So all this is to say, already without weapons, humans are just incredibly fragile creatures in a lot of ways. It's very easy to hurt us. There's a lot of ways it's kind of difficult to hurt us. Like if you punch someone in the ribs, well, they'll grunt, but the ribs are made to take those kinds of impacts. But already it's super easy to hurt someone. It's incredibly easy to accidentally kill someone. Okay? It happens all the time. Believe it or not. All the time. So when you add weapons into that, something is classified as a weapon when it is more effective at hurting and killing people than your bare hands, which is unfortunately almost everything. Like it's hard to kill somebody with a pool noodle, right? So that's a toy. But if you have a screwdriver, that's a dagger. If you have a cup,
Kind of a
you slam
very
this
short
into the
cudgel.
side of somebody's head, that could cause a concussion. But now you went from having a blunt object to a sharp object, and you could stab them with it.
And if you have like a metal thermos, that could be
Yeah.
a club. If it's got a handle that can swing, it could become a flail, which makes it even
And-
more dangerous, in fact,
Yeah,
because of all
even if
that
it's
rotational force.
correct. Even if it is empty, if you hit them with the back end of it, all that force is going into a small part of their skull, assuming you hit them in the head, and that could cause bone splinters to shoot into their brain if it fractures that part of their head.
Not to
If it's
mention,
full of water,
if you do hit someone with the corner, like bottom corner of say the thermos, that corner is a lot thicker than just the walls at the bottom because it's got metal or got material from both the wall and the bottom, and those are supporting each other. It's kind of a so yeah, they don't dent very easily from that side, and which means they apply even more force to whatever they hit. So break an arm,
Correct.
badly damage an elbow, cave in a skull or crack a skull, ribs be gone.
And I mean, just to give you guys a picture, like even if it's just a soda bottle, like a 2 liter of soda, if it's full of soda,
Oh yeah,
it's not going to do a lot of blunt force damage to someone's head, but it's going to impart a lot of energy into their head,
it's kind of like
which
Big
means
O,
they're
kind of like
yeah,
the Big O
which
thing.
means which means that their skull is going to slap against the side of their brain is going to slap against the inside of their skull as their head goes from like normal to the side, and they're stumbling to the side now. And that basically means that you just gave them a massive concussion on somewhere in their brain potentially. So all of this is to try and like impart to people how absolutely pants shittingly dangerous weapons are in reality. And yeah, I assume that there are so many kids who play like, or like they watch anime, or they play video games like Night Rain or Elden Ring or other games, other action games, Devil May Cry and such, and they get the feeling that weapons aren't as dangerous as they actually are.
No, you can
But
slash
they are
people again and again, and they're still running around. No,
yeah. Let me put it this way: a Zweihander or a greatsword, like a claymore, like the big 2-handed version, not the one-handed sword that was also called a claymore, confusingly. Yeah, those big weapons. If that weapon got through your armor, it would cut you in half.
there's two of you now.
Yeah, just slice you right in half, no problem. Remember, longsword cuts your arm off, no problem. Bone doesn't offer much resistance.
Not that one's
So
skin sharp. No, it doesn't.
yeah,
And there's
yeah.
I just recently finished reading In Dubious Battle by John Steinbeck, and that had like a really good example of what it's like when someone gets shot through the shoulder and the bullet goes clean through. I think a lot of people, they think from media that you just be like, well, good thing it went right through. I can do whatever I want. In reality, nah, not really. Now you got some torn muscle, so you can't really lift your shoulder much. You've got soreness from that muscle, so whenever you try to move anything that's remotely connected to that muscle that's now got a big gaping hole in it, you can't really move it much. And you're kind of fatigued. You don't really feel good. Plus, you're having to deal with like potential infection. There, of course, is a swelling. And then you're always having to not exert yourself. You don't want to exert yourself because if you do, I mean, that's a bullet hole that just ripped through your skin and muscle, and it tore open capillaries at the very least. Probably ripped open a vein or an artery, depending on where it's at. And if they can close that up, which I think they did in the book with like a hot knife, which yeah, I don't think they had like any kind of anesthesia. It was just here's something hard to bite on. We're gonna insert this real hot knife into this gaping hole in your shoulder. Scream like a bitch, because you know it's glowing. It's glowing red hot right now. I don't think anyone here's gonna blame you for screaming like a bitch when glowing red hot metal touches your exposed flesh. So yeah, so when they cauterize it, and then even then you can't exert yourself, because if you do too much, you're going to open those wounds up and they're going to be bleeding.
Right.
And again, so you're going to have to get cauterized again. So yeah, in the book, it was about probably halfway, 3/4 of the way through or so. And he kind of got handicapped pretty fast at that point, and he had to take on different roles. But it was like everyone said, and this was like 1930s, everyone said, yeah, bro, you don't do any kind of exertion anymore. You get to stay here in the camp and kind of plan. That's it.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, and he felt it too. Like he could feel if he didn't get his bandage changed, he would start getting tired because of, the fact that it's getting swollen and kind of getting hot, like it's starting to get an infection and stuff like that. Like, yeah, even if it goes right through and you don't get immediate infection and you get it cauterized, you're still not just hopping around like nothing, like you're not hurt. You're taking it easy because you're definitely hurt. And I don't know, Finn, if you have any examples, because this was John Steinbeck. This was about labor strikes in the 1930s. I don't know if you have any. It'd be good to hear and give us some examples and book references if anyone wants to check those out. I think we got a lot of readers.
I do. There was a veteran that I knew. He was in the Marines, the U.S. Marines, and he had been fighting the Taliban. This was after 9/11. He's still relatively young. Anyway, at some point he got shot, and it didn't kill him or anything. Obviously, he's telling me a story, and this isn't Echo where I can just pop into some ghost dimension and talk to people. But he was telling me how after that he couldn't make PT anymore. Not for lack of trying, because he really wanted to, so he could go and keep commanding his men. He was a commissioned officer. But because he literally just couldn't make it anymore. The muscle had been damaged. So he could not make it anymore. And it was he was getting, I don't know how many times he got hit by bullets, but he got shot. And that's what happened. So this is another aspect of that, which does come into play, which is when you get attacked with a deadly weapon, more than likely, you are looking at permanent damage. You're not looking at, you got in a fist fight with somebody and you have bruises. No. Once we start including weapons, we're looking at potentially permanent damage. So just if someone's got a gun, avoid them. If someone's got a knife, get the hell away from them. If you can outrun them, do it. If your only option is to barricade yourself somewhere, that's a terrible option, but it's better than getting shot and putting a barrier between you and them that they have to break through will maybe make them decide to go after someone else. That's really all there is to it. This whole and another thing that's just super important. So there's this myth of the good guy with the gun, quote unquote. It's really, really popular
on the right side. Yeah. On the conservatives, they were like, my my point of view is you're the good guy with the gun. You became the first target.
literally that. But let me ask you this. How easy is it for some idiot to just buy a gun and decide that he's the good law-abiding citizen with a gun in a Republican state, in a red state? It's so easy to put this in perspective that criminals, legit convicts from blue states, go to red states, buy guns there, and then smuggle them back into blue states to commit more crimes with. Okay, it is as piss easy as it gets to buy guns in red states compared to blue states.
It's so
blue
easy.
States typically have, blue states typically have much more stringent laws. It still has a lot of stuff you have to do. It isn't like you walk and say,
Oh, you're cutting out.
Like you still have to. Oh yeah, I'm cutting out on your end, but
okay.
But because of your internet connection. But the whole thing is, it's still relatively difficult to get guns, even in red states, if you have a bad background in that state. But typically, states don't share that between states. Like, if they don't report a crime to the federal bureau that cares about, gun control, then, it never gets reported to them effectively. Now, okay, with all of that in mind, and the fact that you don't actually need to go and do really thorough training to have a gun, maybe you get where I'm going with this, but because you don't have to go and do like target discipline and understanding that bullets keep going after you shoot something. Yeah, and because civilians are only allowed to buy solid solid points, whatever they're called. Um, they're only allowed to buy solid points, not hollow points. Hollow points are illegal for you to own, and solid points are not. So what this means is when you shoot something, let's say there is a bad guy with a gun, and you shoot him. Fantastic. You just shot the bad guy with a gun. However, that bullet's still going. And so now what about those people that you hit behind the person that you just injured or potentially killed? What about all the times you missed? Now those bullets aren't even slowed down by anything. They're just going full speed until they hit something. Cool. Fantastic. What about a shotgun?
Yeah.
Right? So there's all these considerations that you need to keep in mind. So the good guy with the gun can end up injuring or killing a lot of other innocent people. Like, okay, let's say you're inside. Let's say you're somewhere, you have your handgun, and some guy, he whips out a knife. And so you whip out your gun and you do what untrained people do, and you point your gun at him and mag dump. You shoot every bullet that's in the gun, and then maybe you eject that, stumble around ejecting that, finally get another one in because you probably haven't practiced. And then you mag dump him again just to make sure. Cool. Well, what about what's behind him? Because you saw a wall back there, and you probably think that wall is going to stop everything. But in most buildings, those walls are a couple of inches of sheetrock.
Yeah, they're
Maybe have some wood between them to like add a little bit of structure.
yes. As someone who took
So
a couple courses that actually deal with that, you've got probably half-inch sheetrock, followed by pretty much an empty space that might have some real flimsy, loose fiberglass insulation, which is not going to stop a bullet. Another layer of sheetrock, maybe something stronger on the outside, like stucco or wood siding. Wood siding is wood, probably pine. Probably will help slow down the bullet. The stucco, that probably has a better chance because that is like a grate that's nailed up against the wall with actual stucco, and that stucco that might help deflect the bullet along with the metal, because that's kind of like what they use with a lot of like anti-tank armor on tanks. They have ceramic panels that crack and break and deflect a whole lot of energy. But yeah, it more than likely, if the bullet doesn't break through, say the stucco, it's probably going to send stucco, splinters and shards spraying out at probably the speed the bullet was going into whoever's there, and like a big shotgun. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. And also the bullet's probably still going.
Yeah.
So the whole point there is there's a bunch of people you could potentially shoot. Now, depending on the state, that could mean you get charged for every single person you accidentally shot while trying to stop the while trying to stop the good person with the gun, while trying to stop the bad guy, right? So there's a lot of stuff to it, right? Certain bullet sizes might be stopped by walls, others might not. But the point is, there's a lot of considerations that this good guy with the gun myth isn't really taking into consideration. The other thing is this: that guy probably has not trained with that weapon. So there is a damn good chance that he fires all of his ammunition and, like a mad panic, hits nothing, and then dies. Because the other person turns on him, chases him down, stabs him about 1 million, or, shoots him to death, or, whatever. So, point is, good guy with a myth doesn't really work.
Good guy with a myth.
Yeah, the myth of the good guy with a gun is
Doesn't
real. Let professionals deal with that, and also you don't probably know, you the viewer or just anybody probably doesn't know what that reality looks like. Yep. Let me tell you this. If you have not been responsible for someone's death, hopefully from like military or being a police officer or something, because it happens. It's literally military people's jobs. But hopefully it doesn't happen to them. Hopefully we maintain good peacetime the entire time they're enlisted. But obviously we're not. So, but if you haven't seen someone die because of your actions, you don't want to. Okay? You don't want to. And with that, I need to go pee, so let's go take a break.
Let's take a break off this Kit
Hell
Kat bar
yeah.
called Echo.